this is Hedda. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this reading journal update video. Today I am going to talk you through the books I have read in July, and we're gonna make spreads for them in my reading journal. As always, we're gonna start with the cover page, and in my reading journal I like to use a vinyl sticker from some of my favorite artists as the main focal point, I guess, of the cover pages, really letting those vinyl stickers shine. And this time I chose this vinyl sticker by Greta Lusky. I actually recently placed an order in her shop because she was restocking a bunch of her vinyl stickers, and this is one of the stickers that I got. It is a mermaid sitting in a teacup, and it's just a really great piece of art, I think. It's definitely darker and moodier than other stickers I have used for my cover pages in my reading journal so far this year. So I wanted to kind of keep that darker mood, but not too dark, because my reading journal is generally a very bright and colorful place, you know? What's really great about this vinyl sticker is that there's a lot of different colors in it. There's blue, there's purple, there's green. There's just a lot of colors to choose from when picking my other ephemera and washi tapes and stuff like that. You can see that there is a second vinyl sticker kind of in the bottom right corner there, which has more pink and yellow, but it's still within that mermaid theme. It is also from Greta Lusky. And that made me want to experiment a little bit with my title. And you can see here that I tried with black, I tried blue, but I ended up with pink. This was the pink marker that I had that was as close as I could get to the mermaid's hair. So yeah, I went with a pink title. I made it very elaborate with lots of swirly lines, and I guess I haven't been doing that much in my reading journal this year. I've mostly used stamps or stickers for the monthly titles. I like how it looks, and I think that it was nice to bring in this accent color because there is a lot of blue in this spread. I definitely think that one of the hardest but also most enjoyable parts of creating a collage spread like this is finding the colors that fit together, because you don't want it to be too messy, like too colorful. At least in my personal opinion, what I find pretty in my journal is usually like one main color, maybe a few different shades of that color, and then of course an accent color. So you can see that I'm mostly using blue here. Tried to mix in a little bit of that darkness that is in the main mermaid teacup sticker by using the like dark night sky ephemera. That one is from Paper Monogatari, by the way. It also mostly looks black in the video here, but there is a lot of blue. It's actually a really dark blue. It's not a true black. So that's why I think that it works with the rest of the spread. These large ocean stickers I got in Japan in some sticker pack at Loft or Tokyo Hands, I can't remember exactly. The wave pet tape is from Notebook Therapy. It is one of their pet tapes in their Hinoki line, a little bit more fancy, I guess. It has some really cool like holographic details, so I really like that. And the waves just felt right for this spread. I was considering putting it at the top of the spread as well, but I ended up scrapping that idea. It was just a little bit too much. I read 3 books in July, so I had these 3 frames that I wanted to use. The bottom one kind of got covered up a lot by the pet tape and the sticker and everything, but you know, I think it's fine. It's kind of like disappearing under the waves. I was definitely building this spread little by little. Sometimes I will kind of make the left side of the spread first and then move on to the right side. But here I was just doing a little bit here and there whenever felt right. And, you know, I was very unsure about what to put in the top left corner of the left page here for the longest time, so it helped to kind of work on other parts of the spread in the meantime to kind of let the problem, not really a problem, but the uncertainty, I suppose, let that just sit in my subconscious for a little bit while I work on other things. After gluing everything down, I felt like I needed something on the top left part of the right page. So I wanted to make a little title, books I read in July, and for that I used the same pink. You can see that I started with the hand lettering, see if I should write it that way, but then I actually ended up doing a similar font to what I did in my July bullet journal spreads, where I had these squares that are kind of just sitting next to each other and just a simple letter in the middle. I used the same marker to create a little drop shadow, and then I went over everything with this pink fine liner. This is the wine color, I think. It's from Copic, so it's a Copic multi-liner. I really like it, but I only have it in this one size, and this is the 0.3. I've also had it forever. I'm pretty sure I got this in 2017 or 2018 or something, so it's lasted me a long time. I used my scissors to just cut out the shapes, not super close to the letters, but you know, I want to have that white border so that the letters will stand out more against the background, because there is a lot going on in the background. Then I just used my glue tape to glue them down, and I had it cover most of that area that isn't covered by the frames. And I actually really like how this looks. It's a nice balance between the mermaid's hair and the titles. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how the spread turned out. I'm really happy that all of my monthly cover pages in my reading journal have been very different themes and color palettes this year. I think that that's really nice with that variety, I guess. But now we can move on to the first book that I read in July, and that was a novella or a short story. This one is called Cut and Thirst by Margaret Atwood. And if you watched my June reading journal video, you might remember that I also read another Atwood novella in June. So I kind of got on the novella train. This one was released earlier this year, so it is really new. And so I wanted to read this one as well, see how it compared. And it's really short. It's just a little over 30 pages. So it's all done in one sitting, really. And this was a really, I don't know, it was funny and touching and also a little dark. There was a lot in this story, and I think that it's a really well-written short story. Without giving too much away, because it is only 35 pages after all, the main characters here are a group of friends who they're old, they're retired professors, and they want revenge on some people who hurt their friend. And they are kind of plotting these murders. And that sounds very sinister, but I think everyone should read this novella. It's really fun, and it helps that it's so short, so it's very accessible, I should say. It's also kind of sassy, but in a sweet way. I don't know. To decorate the spread, I decided to get out some of my own stickers, actually. These bunny stickers. They were part of my, December 2022 bullet journal theme. I made this bunny sticker for my patrons, and you can recognize the flower in the washi tape. This washi tape was sent to me by one of you guys, actually, so I don't know where it's from, but it is really pretty, and I've been wanting to use it for a while, but it's very bright red color, and I don't use that much red in my journals, so it took the special occasion, I suppose. It helps that the cover for the novella is bright red with a tiny little bit of green in there, so that is a very bold color palette, I should say. So I used the vinyl sticker that I made for my patrons for that month, and also some of the other stickers that I made around the same time. I made a whole year of the rabbit theme because 2023 was the year of the rabbit. So that's the story behind that. I decided to use some of my red alphabet stickers for some more quotes. So you can see that I have a quote in the bottom left part of the spread, which says, first you murder someone and then you need a drink. And I also wanted to include some more quotes from the novella, so not so easy, this murdering business went at the top there, because I like to experiment with where I put the title of the book. And this year, when I've been including the book covers in my reading journal spreads, it's not always so straightforward with where I want to put the title, because I don't want to put it too close to the book cover, because then I feel like the title is just in two places right next to each other. So in this spread, I decided to just put a bunch of quotes, and then I put the title on the right side of the spread. And I do say this now, but actually in the next spread I did put the title right next to the book cover, so take it with a grain of salt, I suppose. Putting together this spread made me want to do more red spreads, because it is a really beautiful color and it doesn't get enough attention from me. I think it's hard sometimes to mix red with other colors because it's so bright, but yeah, maybe I will make more of an effort. Fall is perfect for red after all, so maybe I'll get to use it a little bit more. I just did a simple title with my Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen, Cut and Thirst, and then I just wrote by Margaret Atwood below. And I filled in the spread with my Muji gel pen in 0.5. It is my favorite pen after all. And the very last thing that I did was to fill in my little star rating. The star rating stamp is from BGM and I gave it 4 stars. So not perfect, but very high up there. And that is it for the first spread of the month, or the first book spread, I should say. We can move on to the next book I read in July, which was the first Bridgerton book, The Duke and I. This one is by Julia Quinn. You might have watched the Netflix show. I have, and that's why I picked up this book. I recently watched season 3, and sometimes, you know, when I like a show, I get really interested in reading the books because I want more of the show, you know? I think that what I like the most about Bridgerton is the costumes and the set designs, because it's so colorful, but in a very soft way. All the costumes are so beautiful. It is what I like most about historical dramas, is the costumes, really. So I don't really have any, you know, Bridgerton themed stationery, but I do have the summer collection from Paper Monogatari, which has a lot of hydrangeas, blues and purples and pinks, and I thought that that was just perfect. And the book cover for The Duke and I is blue, so yeah, it was just a match made in heaven, really. So most of the spread is decorated with stickers, washi tape, and ephemera, or like washi paper from Paper Monogatari. And I should disclose that Anna gave me this for free. She gifted me the whole collection when I was in Japan and I met up with her in Nara, and she just gave me this big box full of stationery. She was so nice to me. Anyway, it was absolutely perfect for the spread. I'm really happy that I went with this theme. But let's talk about the book, because I don't know where to start. It was written in 2000, so it is 24 years old. I don't really think that that makes a difference. I can't really tell because the story is set in the 1800s anyway. I think that this book follows season 1 very closely, or it's the other way around, of course. Season 1 of Bridgerton follows this book pretty closely. I was a little bit disappointed that there's so little of the other characters in this book, because it is Daphne's story, so it's pretty much all Daphne, and a lot of the other characters are just barely mentioned. So that was a little bit different from what I was used to watching the show, but I understand, of course, why it is the way that it is, and I think it makes sense for the books. I don't know how many books there are, but there seems to be a lot. I think that Daphne is a good main character. She's quite entertaining. I definitely felt a little bit weird about how she got pregnant. I don't remember if it was the same in the TV show, but I probably have to rewatch it to refresh my memory, but it definitely left me with a really bad feeling and made me not like Daphne as a character as much. Obviously, it is not the author's responsibility to write characters that are morally pure and perfect people. And I do say this a lot when I read books, that I actually enjoy morally gray characters, and I also enjoy protagonists that do the wrong thing and like mess up and don't behave perfectly. But I don't know, maybe it is something about this topic that just makes it feel really iffy. Like, he didn't want kids, he was really drunk, and she kind of took advantage of that, and that just is not a good. It doesn't look very good for Daphne in my books, at least. And I'm sure that we can have differing opinions on this. So, you know, if you read it in a different way or have a different impression from me, then let me know in the comments, because I love discussing books. I know that a lot of things are up for interpretation, but in my opinion, I felt a bit strange that everyone seemed to be so okay with it. There was very little discussion about whether or not it was wrong, if that makes sense. I feel like the way it was written made it seem like the author wanted the reader to think that it was all romantic and how it should be. And I might be reading into it too much, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. But it left me with a weird feeling, and it made me not like the book as much. Like, I enjoyed the beginning very much and the middle, and then when it got to that point, I was just like, oh, I don't know about this. I actually forgot to fill in the star rating before finishing this video, but I gave it 3 stars. So now we can move on to the third and final book of the month, and this is one that has been recommended to me so much over the past few years, and that is the first book in the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. This one is called The Final Empire, and it is a brick of a book. It's over 500 pages. It took me quite some time to get through, and I understand why people have been recommending this book to me for so long, because it really is like epic fantasy, you know? If there is one thing I love more than anything else in the world of books, it is a good fantasy book. So this was really, really enjoyable. It was such an interesting magic system, and I loved the world building. I think that it's quite unique, like not necessarily the story itself, but the world and the magic system feels very unique. So that was very enjoyable for me. I really liked that. The main character, Vin, she's fine. I'm hoping for a little bit more character growth for her in the upcoming books, because I know that there are at least 2 more books in this series. And knowing Brandon Sanderson, there's probably more books set in the same universe, or prequels or sequels or whatever. And I understand why, because it is a very interesting world. It does have a lot of interesting characters as well, and I really enjoyed that. There was a lot of different characters and different creatures, I guess. If there is one thing I can fault this book for, though, is that there's like 2 female characters in this entire book. There are so many characters, and there are only 2 women who have actual lines and play a real part in the story. One of them being Vin, the main character, and the other one being a smaller antagonist. And it does not pass the Bechdel test at all. So that was a bit disappointing. It reminded me of why I like to read female authors when it comes to fantasy, because they just tend to have more well-rounded female characters, and just in general more diversity when it comes to the characters. Like, it doesn't have to be an equal 50-50 of male and female characters, but in this book it's like 95% men and 5% women, and it's just a little bit weird. I am crossing my fingers that there will be more female characters in the second and third books, because I will be reading them. I am very excited to see where the story is going. Like I said before, I think it's a really interesting world, and magic system, and I just want to know what happens, and I know that the story is gonna grow bigger, and lots of things are probably gonna happen because the other 2 books are also huge. So very excited for that. I have just barely started the second book. I don't know if I'll be able to finish it in August, to be quite honest with you, because I haven't found much time for reading so far this month. To decorate this spread, I used some stickers from Marigona Suli. I wanted to use this purple tea witch sticker because it's really pretty and her witches are always so gorgeous. And the cover of Mistborn has a lot of blues and purples and pinks and even a little bit of orange or kind of peach color. So I wanted to stick to that color palette, and I think I did a good job. I used a few different stickers from different sticker sheets from Marigona Suli, and honestly, they're all so gorgeous. I used some washi tapes that one of you guys sent to me, and I also used some of the Endless Summer washi tape from Notebook Therapy. It is from a really old collection, so it's not available anymore. I think it's from like 2020, 2021. Can't remember exactly. It was one of their very first washi tape collections that they designed themselves. So still have a little bit left of them. Not so much anymore, but still a little bit. The quote I chose for this book is, "There's always another secret." I think that is very apt for this book. I gave it 4 stars. I would have given it 5 stars if it had more female characters that had more personality than just being interested in a guy. But for now, 4 out of 5 stars, which is still a really good rating. And I really enjoyed this book. I would definitely recommend it. Like, pass on the recommendation, because I can't even count how many times someone recommended this series to me in the past few years. So that is it for the spread and all the spreads that I made in July in my reading journal. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. And now let's do a little flip through, look through the spreads that I made in this video. If you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments what you think about them. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? I would love to know. As always, I want to give a big shout out to all of my patrons, all of my subscribers on Patreon. You guys are really great. And having a Patreon is really what allows me to do this full time. So really appreciate everyone who has ever supported me on Patreon. We are only a couple of months away from Spooky Month, so any horror book recommendations are greatly appreciated. I want to read a bunch of horror books in October, so let me know in the comments if you have any good horror recommendations, or any recommendations at all. I have more space in my book recommendations list at the front of my reading journal. Anyway, that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you're all having a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!